Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Karting Genk in Belgium, the home of champions, and the 2025 Rotax Golden Trophy. 136 drivers from all over Europe and indeed as far afield as India have travelled here to Belgium in search of the final Minimax tickets available in Europe for the Rotax Grand Finals, and in Micromax, Junior Max, Senior Max, DD2 and DD2 Masters, some of the first tickets available for the 2026 Rotax International Trophy at Le Mans. This is a WFR live TV production of one of the biggest events in the end of the European season. There are a lot of drivers here getting some of their final practice laps in before they travel to Bahrain for the biggest party in world karting. Today we have the entire race calendar for you. Yesterday was time qualifying, but today each driver will compete in 2 heats and of course the main event later this afternoon. For those of you who aren't familiar with the Genk circuit, well, let's have a little look at why this is one of the world's premier kart tracks. So from its original layout, set in the early 1990s, the track was modified in the year 2000 to its current configuration. So from the start line, you go into the very, very complicated turns 1, 2 and 3 section. Then you build up the speed out towards turns 4, 5 and 6, down the back straight, the Europa Plan straight, into turns 6, 7 and 8, the Button complex, named after Jenson Button. Then you go into turn number 9 and down the straight towards the grandstand curve in turn number 10, and then around the front of the grandstands, the podium area, into the final corner. You are looking down at the dummy grid section of the track for Micromax Heat number 1. Only 8 competitors in Micromax. One of these 8 drivers will go to the Le Mans International Trophy next July as the Golden Trophy winner. And looking at the grid, pole position, driving kart number 15, the Haase kart, Belgium's Jesse Moonen. On the outside of row number 1, driving kart number 68 for the KR Sport team, that's Denmark's Kian Hay. Third of the grid will be the number 14 RS competition kart of Denmark's Adam Dion Asp and his teammate Chloe Malling Sorenza will go from, that would be Jonathan Falcon Otterson on the RS competition number 9 kart, starting on the outside of row number 2. Number 76, Rosalie Rabasova for the Kapetsky Racing MS number 76 kart will start on the inside of row number 3. Then the very, very uniquely liveried purple and silver Praga kart from IPK Karting, Alessio Zani for the Bouvan Power team, starting on the outside of row number 3. The fourth and final row of the grid sees kart number 13, Chloe Malling Sorenza for RS competition, and Jenson Kelly. Jenson Kelly, who from the United Arab Emirates. In qualifying yesterday, Jensen doesn't think he's ever seen as much rain as he had to contend with. He will line up 8th on the grid. A quick announcement here in the paddock. Driver number 444, 444. That would be Devin Sagardi from Estonia, is required to go to the stewards. That's Devin Sagardi, number 444, to the stewards as the Micromax drivers head out on to the circuit for their rolling lap. Through turns 1, 2 and 3 we head. There's turn 4. Now we go out to turn number 5. Into the heavy braking zone, the hairpin at turn number 6. There is Alessio Zani. That's Italian stripe down his crash helmet. This is the Europaplan straight, the long back straight into the heavy braking zone at the button S's. You can see that the overnight rain has not quite completely disappeared from the circuit. Everyone is on slick tyres, but it is very slippery. Speaking to several drivers this morning, saying that grip levels were not great. It's going to make overtaking very tricky, getting some heat into these Mojo tyres, and of course you want to stay off the curbs, because the curbs retain a lot more water. 2 rolling laps. Jesse Moonen and Kian Hay, row number 1. Adam Dion Asp and Jonathan Falcon Otterson on row number 2. Rosalie Rabasova, the first of 2 young ladies in the Micromax field. She starts 5th alongside Alessio Zani, with Chloe Malling-Sorenza and Jensen Kelly rounding out the field. This will be a 7 minutes plus 1 lap heat race. My name is Henry Beaudette, standing in for your regular Belgian commentator Alex Goldschmidt. Glad to have you on board with us this weekend. And you can now... number 76 is... just persuading Chloe Malling-Sorenza that they need to get into the correct starting formation. And they need to do that before they get to that red line, which they've just passed now. And it does look as though the Praga kart will have to start at the back of the field. Alessio Zani, and indeed Alessio does start at the back of the field. So we come out of turn number 14, into the tram lines, lights go out, we are off and racing. Jesse Moonen on that Haas kart leads them into turn number 1, but up the inside and trying the crossover, the number 68 kart of Kian Hay, although you can see what I mean about the grip levels. Kian Hay was quick into turn number 1, then understeered out of the corner, and as they go around turn number 6, you can see all the drivers scrabbling for some front end grip down the Europaplan straight, onto the brakes, into the button S's, tiptoeing through the button complex and out towards turn number 11 now. Moonen leads. There's the 68 kart of May in second position, and the number 9 of Otterson is up into P3 now, across the front of the grandstand through turn number 13 and down towards turn 14 we go at the end of lap number 1. It's Jesse Moonen continuing to head the 8 kart field. There are all 8 of them on the same camera shot. Through turn number 1 again, a wider entry from Jesse Moonen. And although that opens the door for Hay to have a little look at the inside, Moonen has a much better exit, and deciding, I'm not going to take the traditional inside dry line just yet. So I'm going to open the corners out a little bit to make sure I maintain a bit more momentum on corner exit. And you can see the drivers tiptoeing around there. Lots of adjustments on the steering wheel for all 8 of our drivers. The track is very, very cold indeed. As temperatures here in Genk are very autumnal, shall we say. Crisp is the word that I heard from one parent this morning. Crisp, brisk, blinking freezing, one of the 3. As you look at Alessio Zani, but there are the 2 leaders. Jesse Moonen down towards turn number 6, that wider line, and you can now see Kian Hay copying that line through turn number 6. That tells you that, of course, getting under power while still accelerating, while still sort of turning out of a corner, the back end wants to step out on these karts, so you want to take a wider trajectory through the corners, get the kart straightened up earlier before you put full power down. And it said overtaking would be difficult. That is proving to be so. Moonen into turn number 14, staying off that exit curb. Those painted red and white curbs obviously retain a little bit more moisture than the tarmac on the track surface. As Kian Hay, 0.7 of a second behind Jesse Moonen, who just sets the fastest lap of the race. 1 minute 3.468 seconds. And into the button S's, you can see the little the orange flip-flops that prevent the drivers from running completely across the curb to make sure that everyone stays within the track limits. I wonder how many of those orange flip-flops will survive the full day's racing here at Genk. Into turn number 14, less than 3 minutes to go. As Kian Hay reaches over just to pull the radiator flap up a little bit to get a little bit more air into that Micromax engine. As Moonen continues to lead, Hay second, Otterson is third. Chloe Marling-Sorenza has moved up into P4. Rosalie Rabasova is 5th. Jensen Kelly is 6th. Adam Dion Asp has slipped to 7th. And Alessio Zani, after starting at the back, is still running 8th and last at the moment. But all 8 karts are still running. As Kian Hay threading his way through turns 12 and 13 between the curbs, and already, even in these 3 or 4 laps or so, we start lap number 5 now, you can see the drivers being a little bit more aggressive now, not tiptoeing as much. The Mojo tyres up to temperature, was up to temperature as they're going to get here in these very, very wintry conditions. I said autumnal earlier, but it is more like the early onset of winter here in Northern Europe. And Kian Hay down the Europa Plan straight into the button S's. You can see him passing those flip-flops there, letting the car wash out nice and wide to the exit of the button chicane into turn number 11, and then down the straight towards the spectator grandstands, and all the spectators watching from the grandstands wrapped up warm, scarves and winter coats, the order of the day here in Belgium. Out of the final corner, 30 seconds to go, next time by. Yesamunen will get the last lap board. Now a look back to the battle for third position. Chloe Marling-Sorenza briefly catching Jonathan Otterson. There goes Jensen Kelly in hot pursuit of Rosalie Rabaskova. But Yesamunen untroubled at the front. The only one of two drivers here on the Haase chassis. And Jornhauser's creations proving to be a very effective weapon here in these conditions. You can still see the damp patches off the racing line. Now, with only 8 karts in a race, that's not going to move too much of the residual moisture off the circuit as the last lap board goes out. But of course, in the remainder of the classes, we have near capacity grids. In fact, oversubscribed by one driver in senior, so we've got to split them into 3 groups. But we've got 36 Minimax drivers, 35 juniors, 20 combined in DD2 and DD2 Masters. But as the Micromax karts, you can just see a great visual there of some of the cars heading down the Europa Plan highway being outpaced by the 8, 9 and 10-year-olds in Micromax. To give you an idea of how fast these drivers travel. Final lap, Yesamunen from Belgium has dominated this race. 2-second advantage over Kian Hay into the final corner. The run to the line. It's been a lights to flag victory for Yesamunen. Kian Hay comes home in second. Everybody else a long way behind. Otterson just beats Chloe Marling-Sorenza for P3. And then it will be Rosalie Rabasova just in front of Jensen Kelly, Adam Dion Asp, and then Alessio Zani. Rounding out the finishing order for race 1 here at the 2025 Golden Trophy. Here is a look at your results. Belgium head home a trio of Danes. Then from Czech Republic, Rosalie, Jensen Kelly from the UAE. The fourth of our Danish drivers, Adam Dion Asp in 7th. And then the Netherlands, Alessio Zani, P8. So the Micromax field make their way back into Parc Fermé. And the next race up will be Minimax. Here's a quick look at the highlights of that race. Now you can see, watch Kian Hay dive to the inside going into turn number 1. And then realizing very quickly, oops, no grip. Takes the lead. And then just understeers wide. That was the only time that Yesamunen was headed throughout the race. And so as you look at the finishers coming across the start-finish line, well, we've seen one race from the outside camera's perspectives. Let's have a little look now at what this circuit is like from a driver's eye view, as we take you on an onboard lap of the Genk circuit. This is one of the KR Sports drivers. It is Andreas Kjellerup going through turn number 1 into turn number 2. This was during a very rare dry practice session earlier on this week with the 360-degree camera. Already through turn number 6, down the Europa Plan straight. Great opportunities to overtake there into the button complex. And I have to say, do love this 360-degree on-board camera we head into the final part of the Button Complex. Kart on the inside there, down towards the spectator grandstand. You can see the tribunes there on the left-hand side of your screen. Race control building to your left. And into the final corner. Out once again. That is a lap here of Karting Genk. So there is a look at one of Andreas Kjellerup's countrymen and teammates in the KR Sport team, Finn Albert Jorgensen. Finn Albert Jorgensen, who will start this race from pole position. Kjellerup starting alongside him on the front row of the grid. There was our onboard camera kart, our driver's guide to this Genk circuit. Andreas Kjellerup from Denmark. Just starting behind them, you can see giving a thumbs up there. That's Lucian Smith in the number 126 kart. It was a fantastic qualifying session for the KR Sport team. 3 out of the top 4 positions. The only interloper in between that was the number 159 Kraft Motorsport kart. There he is, Alfie May. Just looking around, see if his dad's Nick there for some final words of encouragement, perhaps. But Alfie, one of a number of drivers who have already got a ticket to the grand final. So as the day progresses, we'll try and get you up to speed with who has already qualified for Bahrain and who is in line fighting for the only ticket available here. As there is a look at Alfie May. Behind Alfie May, you have Train van Melk. Looking at the Tony kart, the number 118 Bouvan Power machine of Train van Melk. And he starts alongside Sebastian Beerman. Sebastian Beerman, his very first time here at Genk, and did extremely well to qualify P6 in atrocious conditions yesterday. Now, I have to say, we should have 36 drivers on the grid. We only have 35. Romania's Thomas Gavineniu, a buckle fracture to his wrist yesterday in practice. He is at home, so hello to Thomas. If you're watching back home, I know you've got a cast on. I spoke to your driver coach, Armand Hamilton, this morning, and saying that, well, you've got a cast on for a week, see how many weeks you're out for. But firstly, get well soon, Thomas Gavineniu, and hope to see you back very shortly. There is a look now at the very back of the field. You can see that Matthias Clever on the TB kart. He will start 35th in this race. Yesterday, even though Kjellerup set second fastest time, then lost a wheel in qualifying. So did extremely well to still set P2 for this race. There's the number 175 kart starting on the inside of row number 4. That is last year's Micromax Grand Final champion, Josh Cook, the Cookie Monster. And Josh is starting alongside one of the real stars of qualifying yesterday, Maria Roberto. Another of the KR Sport karts, a fantastic 8th place run for Maria. Can she convert that into a top 5 finish here. The number 128, you can see that is Sasha Al Jabrail, the only other Haas kart. See just on the left hand side of your screen, just halfway down the grid, white crash helmet. You've already seen the first of the 2 Haas karts win with Jesse Moonen. What can Sasha Al Jabrail do in the second of the Haas machines, just passing through there as 35 Minimax drivers head out, not quite into the unknown, but certainly into a still extremely treacherous karting Genk circuit. Drivers doing their very best to get their tyres warmed up as quickly as possible. So here's the full starting lineup. Pole position will be Finn Albert Jorgensen and Andreas Kellerup on the outside of row number 1. Row 2 will be Alfie Meer and Lucian Smith. And row number 3, Tren van Malik and Sebastian Behrman. Row number 4, Josh Cook and Maria Roberto. Row 5, Austin Oman and Jakub Kopecki. Then it'll be Julian Dummer and Ryan White. On row number 6, Sasha Al Jabrail and Harry Radcliffe will start on row number 7. Mark Andrea Quesada and Luke Millward will go from row number 8, with Carlos Bernsons and Benedictus Masiokas on row number 9. Row 10, Emilis Juzaitis and Alfie Garrett. Row 11, Dimitar Lazarov and Noah Stihauda. Teddy Murphy and Dijon Habits will go from row number 12. Then it'll be Thea Lind Jota and Conrad Doyle on row number 13. Tim Hansler and Jack Fulbrook Harmer are next. Then it's Harris Barber and Leanne Herbots. Julian Janssen and Max Vandermeer go from row number 13. Elias Dahl Anderson and Amelie Davey on row 14. Mathieu Clever all on his own on row number 15. Like the Micromax race, this will be a 7-minute plus 1 lap heat race. There's Mathieu Clever on the mean green TB kart machine. Manuel Branco, Alain Delcroix out on circuit as the race directors, telling the drivers to slow down. There is the Energy Course chassis, number 133. The RM Latvia entered driver Carlos Bernsons. There's Amelie Davey driving out of the MLC Motorsport awning this weekend. Lights are out, we're off and racing, and it's a huge crowd getting into turn number 1. A lot of drivers scrambling for grip, and yet somehow we all get through the first 2, 3, 4 corners cleanly, with Kellerup jumping into the lead at the expense of pole sitter Jorgensen. There is and 3 karts spinning coming through turn number 6, and you can see just how wet and sodden the grass is as the drivers struggle to get back onto the circuit. In fact, there's one driver having to pull their go-kart off the grass onto the Europa Plan straight. There's a move from Alfie Meer up into P3 at the expense of Lucian Smith. Down towards turn 14 to complete lap number 1. Alfie Meer wheel to wheel with the pole man for second position, and the Kraft Motorsport driver does make the move into turn number 1. Here comes the number 137 of Sebastian Behrman. These are Sebastian's very first race laps here at Genk, and the Strawberry Racing driver already up into P4. Now, the drivers that came to grief on lap number 1 are Leon Herbots, Noah Stihauda and Sasha Al-Jabrail. Carolis Bernsons also losing a lot of positions. They're all still in the race, but down at the back, Alfie Meer looking particularly aggressive as they head through turn number 12, the grandstand corner. Here comes the move. Alfie Meer at turn 14 for the race lead, and the Craft Motorsport driver takes top spot. But Lucian Smith, who now moves into second position, is already challenging for the lead. So Kellerup has gone from the lead back to third position. Jorgensen, our pole sitter, is still back to fourth. Behrman is fifth. Ryan White up to sixth. Dummer is seventh. Kopetsky eighth. Cook ninth, and Austin Oman rounding out your top 10 as the leaders thread their way through the button chicane for the second time. And Alfie Meer has been shuffled back to fourth position. There goes Jorgensen back to P2 at the expense of Kellerup. Smith leads. Oh, Jorgensen very wide coming out of turn number 13. Somehow holds on to it, but then Alfie Meer repassed him with the help of Behrman coming through turn number 14. They cross the line to complete lap 2 to start lap number 3, and it is Smith from Kellerup, Meer, Behrman, and look at the number 125 kart. That's Germany's Julian Dummer. Dummer on the Formula K machine, driving for Craft Motorsport. It's not a Craft Motorsport livery, but that is. But Julian is driving out of the Craft awning as we head through the button chicane again. Lots of action in the early stages here in Minimax. Noah Stihauda sadly has retired, the only driver to retire after that first lap incident up at hairpin, up at the turn 6 hairpin. Everybody else still running as once again Alfie Meer looks to the inside, picks up a position, grabs second from Kellerup. Here's the number 175 kart of Josh Cook passing Dummer. And now this group need to organise themselves very, very quickly because Lucian Smith is escaping at the front. Cook with the fastest lap of the race, 59.781 seconds. And they do not want to sort themselves out at all, do the chasing pack. But Smith's advantage is getting greater and greater the more they battle. There's Kellerup fending off teammate Jorgensen. Behrman sniffing at his heels with the Cookie Monster there in the number 175 kart. 4 KR Sport machines in the top 6 positions. Austin Oman now moves into 7th at the expense of Dummer. Here comes Cook once again. Josh Cook gets an excellent run out of turn number 14. Can't make the move on Behrman. Alfie Meer now gets edged wide at turn number 1 by both Kellerup and Jorgensen, although he does fight back to repass Kellerup at turn number 2. You're now looking at Alfie Meer in third position. Oh, somebody going wide there at turn number 6. That was Josh Cook, who slips back to 8th position now as they thread their way through the button complex. Austin Oman is up into 6th position now, just behind Behrman. Dummer behind Oman, then Cook. Ryan White is next for Hunter Motorsport, then Louis Radcliffe for Sam Pollitt Racing. Millwood runs 11th, followed by the number 118 kart of Tren van Malik, Maria Roberto, Alfie Garrett, Mark Andrea Casada for MKC Motorsports, and followed by Benedictus Masiokas That's your top 16. There's Dummer to the inside of Cook. Cook does the crossover. They all outbreak each other. Somebody runs very, very wide. I'm trying to see which one of the KR Sport carts was lost a lot of ground there. I think it might have been Kellerup. It was Kellerup who drops back as the number 121 of Austin Omar now chasing Sebastian Behrman. Jorgensen runs second, Mayer still third. This is the battle of 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th and 9th. Next time around, they will get the 1 lap to go board. You can see the desperation amongst the Minimax drivers. They know that there's only 1 ticket to the grand finals. Now, a lot of these drivers have already got their ticket, but still, it's the ticket goes to the best non-qualified driver. There's Austin Oman. He has the ticket from the B&L series. Behrman does not have a ticket. I'll have to find out whether Jorgensen has a ticket already. I know that Lucian Smith, Alfie Mayer, Austin Oman have a ticket. Cook does not. So Josh Cook is driving, wants to go back to the grand finals. He's only been once and he was a champion, so wants to try and make it 2 wins out of 2 appearances. But this is the final lap. Lucian Smith will take a dominant victory. There goes Smith. There's Jorgensen, Mayer, Oman, Behrman, Cook, Dummer. But Lucian Smith takes the checkered flag, followed by Finn Albert Jorgensen in P2, Oman in 3rd. Lucian Smith wasn't easy, not by a long shot, but he was aided considerably by the fact that when he did take the lead, everybody else decided that that was a great time to fight over P2. And, well, it wasn't, because Lucian was able to drive away to a 2.5 second victory. That might be the biggest margin that we see anyone win in Minimax all day. There's a look at your top 12. 6 seconds, well, 4 seconds, covering 2nd to 12th. Jorgensen, Mayer, Oman, Behrman, Cook, Dummer, Ratcliffe, White, Van Malik, Kellerup slipping back to 11th. As we look further down the order, Harris Barber, Leon Herberts and Noah Stihoda failed to finish that race, sadly. 32 drivers did finish. Sasha Al-Jabrail. Well, of the 2 Haasa carts here, in race number 1, the Haasa cart won, and in race number 2, the Haasa cart came home in last. But that was because of an accident, not because of performance. Here is a look at the highlights, and you can just see a whole sea of purple, white and silver, the KR Sports livery, and it was very, very hectic going through turn number 1. The 131 kart, that Jan Darms racing entry of Dejan Habits, trying to make a move around the outside. This is Alfie Mayer, was very aggressive, picking them off. There's him actually passing eventual winner Lucian Smith. Mayer would then go on to take the lead, but only briefly. Now, this is Kellerup leading, Smith making his way into 3rd position, and Smith having work to do. That was the move to get Alfie Mayer out of the way, and Mayer running wide at turn number 6, and that allows Smith's teammates to come through. But this was the battle between Jorgensen and Kellerup that allowed Lucian Smith to escape. You can see the 2 Danish drivers just slowing each other down, and Smith was gone. Julian Dummer on the Formula K kart, performing well. Albert Jorgensen fighting back from 8th position at one point to retake 2nd. There he goes into P2. Kellerup was then in third, but was soon forced all the way back to about 11th place. I think it was here that Kellerup is getting offline. Freight train hung out to dry. And yeah, there was Cook going through, Dummer going through, Oman trying to go through. The number 165 cart also getting involved of... sorry, that was not the 165. That was one of the Hunter Motorsport carts, Ryan White, getting involved. But Lucian Smith comes away to a comfortable win in the first Minimax heat race of the day. Well, there's a look at Jort van Wyk and Macaulay Bishop chatting away. Senior Rotax, Group B versus Group C are coming right up. 24 drivers in total. As we look, it'll be Austin Lee for Strawberry Racing, number 372, who will be our pole sitter, alongside Macaulay Bishop. Yeah, Austin. Nicknamed Bruce Lee, of course. Well, let's hope the punches and kicks don't appear in this next race. Bishop in the number 368, the International Trophy champion this year. There is Tino Sidler and his mechanic Mason Bishop, Macaulay's brother, on our screen. Tino Sidler, P3, very, very distinctive chrome effect, gold and red crash helmet. On the outside of row number 2, Jort van Wyk, there is a look at the GKS Lemons driver, the home-based team, Sver Uben. In cart number 346, he will start on the 4th row of the grid as the mechanics leave the dummy grid. 24 drivers sit and wait. There is a look. Austin Lee, from Oregon in America originally, lives in Germany now, has raced in the UK, has concentrated on the German Championship this year, and is going to lead the field. He was second fastest overall in qualifying yesterday. Lloyd Hare was fastest in qualifying by 0.03 of a second. Lloyd will lead Group A off. This is Group B and Group C. So Lee was second fastest overall, and Bishop was third fastest overall. At a glance, Bishop, Van Wyk in the Dutch national team race suit. The third row of the grid be Ollie Wise for the KR Sport team, and Jure Leva in cart number 361 for Slovenia. Sver Uben and Max Sidursky will go from row number 4. Will Archer and Thomas Verheyen will go from row number 5. You can see Verheyen there on the number 338 cart. Felipe Falk, the Brazilian-born Dutch-based driver, will start on the inside of row number 6 for the TB kart team. Filip Wisniewski will go from the outside of row number 6. Ludwig Gustafsson and Mick van den Hout go from row number 7. Max Taylor and Rayan Bourguignon from row number 8. Raphael Moreau and Simon Anderson. Row number 9, Charlie Valeskog and Kari Kortelainen from row number 10. Anja Levar and Maximilian Bostrom on row 11. Tor Fransen and Alexander Elijah Bach round out the field for this race. And this race will be 10 minutes plus 1 lap. Now, of course, there are 37 senior Rotax drivers entered and only 36 places available on the grid for the main event. So at the end of the heat races, there'll be 3 senior Rotax races in total. Each driver will compete in 2 of them. And at the end of the heats, it's simply the top 36 in points that go through to the main event. 1 driver will miss out. No repechage, no last chance qualifying. It's go home early, unfortunately. So 2 rolling laps, I believe, as giving the drivers ample opportunity to get some heat into their tyres. And the organisers have done this, thinking, okay, we'll do a bit of extra time for the rolling laps, and that should mean that the run to turn number 1 on lap 1 of the actual race is a lot less fraught, because the drivers aren't battling with a lack of grip. There's the number 317 kart starting, shotgun on the field, Alexander Elijah Bach. Bishop and Lee, or Lee and Bishop row 1, Sidler Van Wyk row 2, Wise Levar row 3, Uben Sederski row 4, Archer Verheyen row 5, Falk Wisniewski row 6, Gustafsson Van Hout row 7, Taylor Bourguignon row 8, Moreau Anderson row 9, Valeskog Karls and Kortelainen row 10, Levar and Bostrom row 11, Fransen and Bach on row 12. We've already completed 1 rolling lap. This is the second. The Button complex there. That is, you're looking down just beyond where you can see the rental carts. That was the Button complex and what is now the rental kart track. That was the original Genk kart circuit from the 80s and the 90s. There's some fantastic YouTube footage of Fernando Alonso and Jenson Button battling in Formula A in the European Championships in the mid-1990s on that track. It's still possible to drive the old layout. Obviously, there are tyre barriers now that separate the new circuit, the old circuit that forms part of the new circuit, and the old circuit that is now the rental kart track here at Genk. And it is remarkable when you're here, you see how narrow the tracks were back in the 80s and 90s compared to now. As the drivers head into the tram lines, lights are out, we are off and racing into tournament. Now, I thought on the timetable it said that this was a 10-minute race. It appears that it's only a 7-minute race, so I do apologise for that. But Lee has got away well. Everyone is safely through the first couple of corners. Up into second place has come Macaulay Bishop. And everyone now diving into the Button complex. And out once again, there's the number 397 SP Stanpex Motorsport kart of Max Sederski. Sederski following behind Ollie Wise, who was making a look there at the position in front of him, but has to fall back in line. Austin Lee has the lead. It's a comfortable position. Uber now trying to go around the outside, and he's going to get squeezed by that number 386. No, that's not the 386, that's the RS competition kart. Oh, and a problem there. Sederski and the number 361 of Yuri Levar come together. Sederski gets going again. As we head into turn number 6, there's the Birrell ART of number 329. Charlie Valeskog-Karls for the Jesper Sjoberg racing team. Good performance, good start from the Swedish driver as Bishop, Van Wyk and Sidler run second, third and fourth for the Dan Holland racing team. They're a long way behind Austin Lee, however. Lee has transferred pole position into a commanding early advantage. The race clock has adjusted itself. This is a 10-minute plus 1 lap heat race. As a warning flag goes out for number 326. That will be Raphael Moreau, the SF Automatech driver from France. Side by side, Sidler and Van Wyk down the back straight. Quick announcement for the paddock. We need driver number 114 to come to the stewards. Driver number 114 to come to the stewards. That would be Tim Hansler to the stewards, please. As we watch second, third and fourth in this first senior race coming into turn number 14, and Sidler up into P2 now at the expense of Bishop. Bishop running in third, then Van Wyk in fourth. Great start behind them for Ollie Wise, Sver Uben, Thomas Verheyen, Philip Wisniewski is going very well indeed. So, through turn number 14, we're looking at Bishop being chased by York Van Wyk. This is third and fourth position. There's your leader, Austin Lee, off into turn number 1. Dan Holland Racing Karts run P2, P3, P4. Bishop losing another spot. Down to fourth position behind Van Wyk. Thomas Verheyen is next in a battle with Ollie Wise. And also in that battle is Sver Uben, Philip Wisniewski, Rayan Bourguignon, Max Taylor, Ludwig Gustafsson, Simon Anderson, Charlie Valeskog-Karls, Mick Vandenhout, Max Sederski back to 15th position. Then it is Will Archer, Yuri Levar after his incident is 16th. Felipe Falk, the TB kart driver, has sadly retired. So that's not great news for Felipe Falk. He'll be nervously needing a good result in heat number 2 to avoid being that one unlucky driver to miss out. And things pretty stable at the front of the field. Our race leader, Austin Lee, sets a new fastest lap, 55.023 seconds. As we watch Van Wyk and Bishop, they're passing the stricken cart of Felipe Falk there at the entrance to the Button S's, or the Button chicane. The rest of the lead group head down towards the spectator grandstand there. Sver Uben in that very distinctive yellow, black and orange GKS Lemons powered machine. And behind Sver Uben, Max Taylor for Kraft Motorsports. And a little bit further back, there's the 306 kart, Will Archer, and the tail enders. Now, down the Europa Plan straight, 355. Under pressure, Ollie Wise loses a place to Sver Uben. Good move there. Good local knowledge from Uben to grab the position away from the 355 kart of Ollie Wise, who has slipped down the order a little bit. Uben defending, Wise and Taylor right there. But Uben holding on to what is now 7th position. Rayan Bourguignon in the number 310 car. The Bouvan Power driver is already ahead of this group into turn number 1. 2, 4, 5, 6 karts now, all in a row. Uben, Wise, Taylor, Gustafsson, Wisniewski and Anderson at the back of this group. There goes the 303 kart of Ludwig Gustafsson for the RS competition team. He passes Max Taylor. I have to say, Ollie Wise looks like a little bit of the cork in the bottle here, because Sver Uben has been able to pull away, and Wise still has 4 drivers lining up behind him looking to take the position, 8th position away from him. Meanwhile, 2.5 minutes to go. There was a brief look at Van Wyk and Bishop, who are still battling over 3rd position. Up at the front, Rayan Bourguignon makes his way past Thomas Verheyen. And it looked as though there was a little bit of pushing and shoving going on into turn number 1 amongst the group behind Ollie Wise. But Bishop now back in front of Jort Van Wyk. But they are, well, Austin Lee is nearly 3 seconds ahead of Tino Sidler, and Sidler is over a second in front of these 2 drivers. Very spread out at the front of the field. That's got something to do with the track conditions. Drivers are being cautious. They can't move offline to try and make risky passes because the grip offline just is not there. Now Bishop and Van Wyk seem to be closing back in on their teammate Tino Sidler. Out of turn 4, through turn 5, onto the brakes at turn number 6. Van Wyk sitting in Bishop's wheel tracks down the Europaplan straight into the Button complex. Yellow flag waving. Oh, 2 karts off at the side of the circuit. The inside, that was Elijah. Well, hang on a second. That might be Maximilian Bostrom and Anya Levar. It is. I can see the yellow Sodi kart of Maximilian Bostrom, and it's not been a great day for a great start to the day for the Levar family. Anya out of the race, and Anya's brother Jure down in 18th position after a collision with Max Siderski. There is the remnants of that incident that took out Levar and Bostrom. We've also lost Alexander Elijah Bach. So we're down to 20 runners. Thor Franston is the driver in 20th, as the gap is shrinking between Bishop, Van Wyk and Tino Sidler. But the gap between Sidler and race leader Austin Lee is growing, and it grows at a rate of knots. Very distinctive driving style there from Macaulay Bishop. Just on a lot of the corners, he doesn't lean into the corner, he leans out of the corner, just creating a bit of a shift in weight distribution and amongst the car. It didn't work for him there. Well, it does eventually. The over-under from Bishop. He gets past going into the corner, does the crossover, retakes the position coming out of turn number 1. That will give Sidler a little bit of extra breathing room. We're on the final lap now. And what a dominant performance it's been from Strawberry Racing's Austin Lee, leading home the trio of DHR karts. Van Wyk's not finished yet. Side by side down in front of the grandstand, but you could see how Van Wyk had to get out of the gas early. Didn't want to entertain going around the outside of Bishop with his no grip. Here's your winner though. Austin Lee takes the checkered flag. Tino Sidler second. Bishop is third. Van Wyk fourth. Rayan Bourguignon comes home in a fine 5th position. Ahead of Thomas Verheyen, Sver Uben, Ollie Wise holds on to 8th position. Ahead of Simon Anderson, Max Taylor. Will Archer was 11th. Ludwig Gustafsson, Max Sadursky, Mick Vandenhout, the top 14. Philip Wisniewski faded to 15th position ahead of Charlie Valeskog, Raphael Moreau, Yuri Levar, Kari Kortelainen, Thor Franston, the only other finishers. Bostrom, Levar, Anya Levar, Alexander Elijah Bach and Felipe Falk failing to finish. 3 races down, and as there will be a brief period where the recovery vehicle heads out onto the circuit to retrieve the stranded, stricken carts of Falk, Levar and Bostrom. The next race up will be juniors as we look at the highlights, and really Austin Lee got the job done on the run into turn number 1. Checks over his shoulder, moves across to take the racing line. He knew that Bishop was on his outside, so he's got room there. Sidler uses the opportunity to slide up the inside of Bishop to take 2nd position, although Bishop was able to fight back initially. A lot of curb there for Austin Lee, but that was as close as anybody else got to the number 3-7-2 kart all race. There was some good action further back. Well, that was some action. And having to take a poor Will Archer being forced off the track there as Sadursky and Yuri Levar did a little dance in the middle of the circuit. Good battling between the 3 Dan Holland racing karts, which further assisted Austin Lee's escape to victory. And there is Austin Lee crossing the line. Will Archer did well to recover to 11th. And he really had nowhere to go when Sadursky and Yuri Levar came together. So lots of pace from Will Archer, not a lot of luck in that race. But, well, it could have been worse. He could have been forced off and got involved in the accident. As we now head to the next race, which will be Junior Rotax up next. Well, there is a look at Jensen Chalk, the 2023 Micromax Grand Finals champion. We'll be back very shortly. Well, as we continue to look at some of the junior contenders, 35 of them. There is a look at the number 2 and 4, Finley Smith, Nathan Lequiro in the bright yellow and black race suit, the number 211 car on the EOS chassis for the SF Automatech team. Nathan Lequiro. Jensen Chalk on the outside of row number 1. It's taken him a year to get used to the junior Rotax class, not helped by the fact that Jensen has not had that growth spurt yet. So he's still very, very small compared to a lot of the other drivers, but has always got a fair turn of speed. Lars Lambers will lead the field to the line. Chalk, Rayan Gandor, Canadian driver, in kart number 203. You can see starting P3 alongside his teammate Kai Clark. Last year, Kai Clark was the youngest driver to qualify for the Rotax Grand Finals in the junior Rotax class. He'll be going back to Bahrain this year alongside Gandor. Their teammates here, they will compete for different nations in Bahrain as everybody makes their way out onto the circuit. And there at the back of the field, there's the number 202 kart. Now, that is young Daniel Hakkinen. Yes, that's a familiar name. Daniel is nicknamed, well, he wants me to call him Bob. But yesterday, his first time out in the wet. A little bit more familiar territory now in the drive for the Kraft Motorsport team. Young Daniel driving under the Czech flag. But let's see how young Bob... Well, I suppose, you know what? He says he wants to be called Bob. But I mean, if he does well, he'll be King Bob. What are those yellow things called? I can't remember. The ones that go, double. Minions, that's the one. King Bob. Well, we'll have to see. He's got to go from 35th to 1st. Let's have a look at the full starting lineup. Lars Lambers from Belgium, alongside Jensen Chalk on row number 1. Rayan Gandor and Kai Clark on row number 2. Marcel Poppercool and Finley Smith on row number 3. Boris Verhager and Nathan Lecurio on row number 4. Mahos Masinas and Luca Holmes-Ballack go from row number 5. Then Cody Lepatruel from the Channel Island of Guernsey and Patrikas Josius on row 6. Row 7, Lika Van Bokel and Raru the Ferraru Pascu. Then Eric Brandsborg and Loris Perron Musi, Loman Wilcox and Justin Fonk on row number 9. Emir Siedowska and Ralph Hugo Niemanen round out your top 20. Anton Hauschild Christensen and Louis Radcliffe on row 11. Philip Hansler and Devrim Yeta on row number 12. Lionel Munguia and AJ Bograf are next, followed by Maj Tusek, Kimi May, Matas Balkus, Kern Willems, Priam Leung, Lucas Frieden, Mika Gentner, Luan Seidel and Daniel Hakkinen. Could driver number 120 please come to the stewards with your entrant? Driver 120. Benedictus Masiokas to the stewards with your entrant, please. The junior Rotax field are into the tram lines and they will not go out. False start, first false start of the day, and we will go around again. Well, Lars Lambers, number 242, driving for the Bouvan Power team. Very experienced driver, Jensen Chalk, as I said, the 2023 Micromax Grand Finals champion. Rayan Gandor began his quest for a ticket to the Grand Finals all the way back at the Rotax Winter Trophy in Orlando, Florida in January this year. Finally got the job done here in the RMC Belgium. Was it the BNL series or the RMC Belgium series? One of the two, just a few weeks ago. Kai Clark, I believe, has earned his ticket through the British Championship. Marcel Poppacool, driving for the RS competition team, but he's got the red and white Kato Motorsports race suit on that he uses in the UK, but he is UK based, but proudly flies the flag of Poland. Now into the tram lines again, lights are out, we're off and racing this time. Down towards turn number 1, Poppacool gets sideways, and there are go-karts scattering left, right and centre. They're still going off at turn number 3. We had 3 clean starts, and then the juniors took to the track. Lambers is ahead and away. The rest of the survivors continue behind. All third place going wide into, there's the Carlos Sainz chassis. Oh, not happy is the driver there of not being able to push his car back onto the circuit. That wasn't Boris Verhagen, that was Justin Fonck, who was pushing his kart back on to the track. Oh, and there's more going wide. There's the 261 kart. That is the Birrell of Lucas Frieden going off into grandstand corner. Now, of course, with all these karts going off and then dragging mud and dirt back onto the circuit, this could be a treacherous second lap for the drivers that avoided issues on lap number 1. Devrim Yita was the driver of the Carlos Sainz chassis, who was not happy at being unable to push his kart back onto the circuit. He is out of the race. Justin Fonck is going to come around. Believe it or not, only one driver, Yetta, failed to complete the opening lap there. And battle for what is third position. Mahus Masinas being passed by Luca Holmes Ballack. Ballack now up in the third position. So a quick reset when things calm down ever so slightly. That could be a while. Lambers leads from Rayan Gandor. Ballack up to third. Masinas fourth. Rares Pascu is up into P5. 6th for Finley Smith. Lieke van Bokel 7th. From 26th on the grid, AJ Begraaf is up into 8th position. Cody Lepatruel is 9th. Eric Bransborg rounds out the top 10. There's the number 239 of Lomond Wilcox battling away. Lomond is just slipping behind the number 218 kart of Emir Siadowska, or our front row driver, Jensen Chalk, has fallen back to 22nd, and that's a big one. Into the tyres, Finley Smith out of P6, into the barriers, and somehow he gets that kart out again and back into the race. That was going into turn number 14. He's not happy, which tells me he may have been assisted, as now we're looking at the 232 kart pulling off at the side of the circuit, and it's not been a great start to the day for Justin Fonck. Boris Verhagen also out of the race. Verhagen, who started P7, and the fastest lap, Mash Tusek in kart number 265. Mash is down in 32nd place. Obviously a little bit frustrated at having gone off earlier on. The red mist comes down and the driver goes quicker. There's Jensen Chalk now fighting back through the pack. He picks up a position behind him. The number 250 kart of Kimmy May follows him through. Lars Lambers, our race leader, now sets a new fastest lap. Here is Lieke van Berkel for the Stampex Motorsport team. Under pressure, Lambers, your race leader, comes out of the button complex into turn number 11, down the straight towards the grandstand. Gandour follows him, then a big gap back to Luca Holmes-Balak in third. Fourth, the Mahus Masinas. Here's the battle for sixth position. Rares Pascu goes past the SP Motorsport kart of Lieke van Bokkel there. In fact, there's two Stampex Motorsport karts involved there, because I believe AJ Begraaf is the other one. AJ Begraaf in kart number 271, a great start for AJ. Behind AJ, that black and red machine, that is the 210 kart of Lionel Munguia. And the two SP karts helping each other along. Look at the way the slipstream works down the back straight, and great opportunism there from Munguia to pick up a position at the expense of Rares Pascu. Pascu there looking down at his right front wheel to make sure that nothing was askew on that. Philip Hansler and Emir Siadowska are next. Kai Clark in 12th. Luan Seidel from 34th on the grid is up to 14th position. Behind Marcel Poppercool, who has recovered well from that first corner spin that triggered a whole host of drivers going off. Cody Lepatruel slipped back to 16th position. Loris Perron-Mousse, 17th. Kern Willems, Louis Radcliffe, Loman Wilcox, Priam Leung, and then Patrikas Josios, 22nd. Kimi May, Matas Balkus, Lucas Frieden, Anton Hauschild Christiansen, Mika Gentner, Ralph Hugo Niemanen, Nathan Lecurio, Daniel Hakkinen, Maj Tusek, Finley Smith are the others who are still running. Ooh, there's a move. The 223 kart of Luan Seidel keeps picking them up and putting them down. Luan Seidel, obviously, he starts at the back, not because he was slowest in qualifying, because there was obviously some sort of issue with that kart, either during qualifying or after it. But Luan Seidel has got a fair turn of speed in that number 223 kart. The Swiss driver for the KR Sport team, but very impressed by the 210 kart of Lionel Munguia. Looking at there, he's entered as an independent driver. Underneath that graphics kit is a Tony kart, according to the entry list. Or it may be a more colour appropriate OTK product. Can't quite see the green chassis rails like you can for Lars Lambers, whose lead over Rayan Gandour sits at 1.5 seconds. Luca Holmes-Balak a further 2 seconds in arrears in P3. Mahus Masinas from Lithuania back in 4th position. But Lambers using the same sort of style as Macaulay Bishop, leaning out of the corners to just move the weight distribution around. He wants to get as much weight as possible over the outer rear wheel. As we head through turn number 14, this is the final lap. To the checkered flag, Lambers wins from Gandour. Up in the 3rd place, Luca Holmes-Balak, and then Mahus Masinas, followed by Eric Brandsborg, up 10 positions for the RS competition team. A very, very fraught opening few minutes of that race. The race was only 7 minutes from start to finish, plus 1 lap. But a lot went on. Lars Lambers for Bouvan Power takes the victory And that will make the Bhuvan team very, very pleased indeed. Gandor, Holmes, Balak, Massinas, Brandsborg, Van Bokel, Popakul, Bograf, Munguia, Seidel, Pascu, and Siadowska. Emir Siadowska, the only driver here for the 3G racing team. Jensen Chalk will be unimpressed by his journey from the outside of the front row of the grid down to 13th, although that journey was assisted somewhat, shall we say. And in the midst of all that, we lost Kai Clark for out of what was a potentially winning position at the start. So Clark finishing back in 32nd. Right, let's unpick the bones out of this one then as we look at the race highlights. Into turn number. Now look at the driver third in the red and white race suit. Popakul gets into the back of Gandor, then gets turned around by Jensen Chalk. That's where Chalk was forced clean off the road. Several other drivers having to take evasive action as well. Then there's the number 261 sliding into Justin into the 207 kart of Kern Willems, Mahus Massinas, Luca Holmes Balak getting assisted around the corner there, and Finley Smith in the number 214 was about to head off. This, I think, is where Finley Smith outbraked himself. Grip, 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 turn, turn, turn. Oh, that wasn't the lap where Finley Smith went off. But it was at that corner that Smith would eventually find his way into the barriers in the number 214 kart. In many ways, a very typical junior Rotax race. Now, here is the run into, that is the number 235 kart of Rares Pascu, the Swiss driver that dominated the Romanian Junior Rotax Championship this year. As they cross the line, Lars Lambers has his first win of the day here in the Golden Trophy, as the recovery vehicle will head out on to the circuit. And there are wagons that need recovering. You can see that the clouds are not as low as they were yesterday, so we could escape without any of the dreaded R word today, but we will not mention that. Now, instead, we'll mention Rotax's Ultimate Class, DD2 and DD2 Masters. 20 drivers in total. There are, let me just quickly have a quick count. There are 16 drivers in the main DD2 class. Those are the drivers whose karts are numbered in the 400s. There are 4 drivers over the age of 31 who are in the DD2 Masters division. They are the karts whose numbers start in the 500s. Now, there's about a dozen of these drivers already have tickets to the grand finals in DD2. In DD2 Masters, there are 36 DD2 Masters tickets available in the world. And I've got to say, it's a great class for maybe retired ex-professional drivers to have a go in, such as Rubens Barrichello. Because Rubens Barrichello, yes, that Rubens Barrichello, 11-time Grand Prix winner, multiple runner-up in the Formula 1 World Champion. He has qualified again to go to Bahrain in the DD2 Masters division. Isn't that something? If only there was somebody else who was happened to be in the paddock who maybe was an ex-professional racing driver that thought to himself, because Rubens races with his sons. Rubens goes karting with his sons all the time. Oh, what a thought that would be. Anyway, moving on. It's Jakob Bazel. There is Jakob the younger brother of former Grand Final champion Peter Patel, on the front row of the grid. So, Pazel, driving for Craft Motorsport, using a Birrell ART chassis this weekend, because that is the chassis that the DD2 class use in the Grand Finals. Gustav Usakovs on the outside of row number 1. The Latvian-born driver based in the northeast of the UK, up at Karting Northeast at Warden Law. And here go the rest of the field. Edgars Vilkans, the international trophy champion, will start from the inside of row number 2 alongside Rasmus Jansson. Then Vigor Jovard from Sweden, and the best of the Masters drivers, 548 Nicholas Clays. Now, I don't expect the Masters drivers to necessarily stay where they are, because they do run a slightly different weight limit. Two rolling laps. These are the 2-speed Rotax karts. The fastest members of the Rotax family. Front brakes. Very demanding to drive. There is the number 414 kart. That's Vigor Jovard on a full-size Synergy chassis. Don't often see that, although I think a Synergy is part of the Birrell ART family of go-karts. Blue skies behind the circuit. Here's your full starting lineup. Jakub Batzel and Gustav Usakovs, row number 1. Edgars Vilkans and Rasmus Jansson, row number 2. Vigor Jovard and Nicholas Clays on row 3. Lawrence Herberts and Jeremy Brasler on row number 4. Alex Fielenbach and Hannes Morin go from row number 5. Devin Sagardi and Leonardo Baccaglini go from row number 6. Jordi Cleribo and Willem Germer Christens are next up. Ralph van der Pevert, Lois Trottan, Patrick Donitska, Nicholas Guillaume, William Norbeck and Jonathan Morin. They are your 20 starters. Into turn number 14. Jonathan Morin brings his Schoberg Racing Birrell ART into line. We go into the tram lines, lights are out, we're off and racing. It's a good start from our poles to the Jakub Batzel, who is able to sweep across and take the optimum racing line through turn number 1 and turn number 2. And he is going to exit turn 3 and 4 with a huge lead over Gustav Usakovs, who hangs on to second. Oh, 2 drivers, Patrick Donica and the number 444 kart of Devin Sagardi, the Estonian driver for AGS Racing, out of the race, having a discussion with one another there. Not quite sure if either of them know what happens. Maybe there was a third party involved as they trudge away. Change for second place. Number 457, Rasmus Jansson, up past Usakovs. Oh, the Sheepers Racing kart of, who was that for Sheepers Racing that went in? It was the number 402 of Edgars Vilkans, who just misjudged that. They're turning Gustav Usakovs around. Usakovs is able to continue, but no longer in the front running group. Oh, we've also had Nicholas Guillaume for the Stan Pex Racing team out of the race. So 3 drivers down on the opening lap and a 4th. Gustav Usakovs delayed significantly by that incident at turn number 14. Purcell leads comfortably from Rasmus Janssen, and up into 3rd position, Nicholas Clay. There's Clay getting passed by the 2 Sheepers racing karts, Vilkans and Baccaglini. Jovard is next in line. Oh, Baccaglini with that beautiful Jody Scheckter style replica crash helmet, or Jody Scheckter inspired crash helmet design. He moves into P3 now. P4, Lawrence Herberts is in 3rd position. So this is 4th, 5th and 6th on your screens. Nicholas Clay still leading the Masters division quite comfortably. Alex Fielenbach is the next Masters driver along in 8th position. Behind Jovard, then it's Willem Germer Kirstens. Gustav Usakovs is still there in P10. As the number 440 kart of William Germer Kirstens moves up a position, passing Victor Jovard. That's P9. We're looking at Baccaglini holding off Vilkans. Baccaglini with that Kart Shop Italia, the Italian national race suit. There is Nicholas Clay holding on to the lead in Masters, running in P6 overall. Meanwhile, Jakub Purcell wants to say hello to his older brother. I think his older brother Petter has gone skiing with his daughter this weekend, which is lovely. So hopefully Peter is going to enjoy his weekend with his daughter, and when he gets off the piste, he can watch his younger brother dominate heat number 1. Oh, problems for the number 440 kart of William Germer Kirstens, the RS competition. No, it's not. It's the number 428 RS competition. That's William Norbeck. Norbeck, who was really, really quick in the dry, not so great in the wet. He was down at the back of the field in qualifying, but was heading towards the front in the dry conditions. Mechanical issue thwarts William Norbeck. Now we look at the battle for 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th, because Janssen has been caught by Lawrence Herberts. Herberts to the inside. Baccaglini goes through as well. So Rasmus Janssen falls back, and he's going to fall back behind Vilkans as well. So suddenly the number 457 kart of Rasmus Janssen losing an awful lot of pace there. That red and white Birrell ART kart, as Herberts and Baccaglini continue to run now in 2nd and 3rd. Janssen is still 4th, holding off, and here comes Leonardo Baccaglini. Great move into the button complex. Out of turn number 14, out of turn number 13, into turn number 14. Baccaglini, 2nd, but a gaping hole between himself and the race leader, 3.5 seconds. And there is another retirement. That's the 468 SP Motorsport kart of Ralph van der Pavert. Entering the pits. Now, interestingly, all the SP Motorsport karts, the Kart Republic chassis, they've got the sort of the Kart Republic feather on the front, just underneath the NASA panel at the top of the nose cone. They've got that sort of Kart Republic plume, and each driver in the team is allowed to pick their own colour for that particular part of the kart. So when we get a chance to look at some of the SP Motorsport karts in some of the other classes, you will see that each one of them has their own unique colour. They're not allowed to use pink, because pink is Stan Pex's colour, and he's boss. So what the boss man says, the boss man has. Now, battle for P2 on your screen. Here comes Vilkans. Great over-under. Past Baccaglini, just taking the outside line in, undercuts his teammate coming out of turn number 6 onto the Europaplan straight. And Nicholas Clay doing a fantastic job in the number 548 kart. Two and a half minutes to go in this 10-minute plus 1 lap race. Jakob Batzel's lead is now over 4 seconds. Nicholas Clay continues to pressurise Leonardo Baccaglini. He doesn't need to, however. I know he wants to finish high up the order, but he's leading DD2 Masters now by a comfortable margin. So Clays is 5th on the road. The next Masters driver is Jonathan Morin, down in 10th position overall. 20 karts started. We've got 15 drivers still running. In 15th position is Alex Fielenbach. Hannes Morin is 14th. Rasmus Janssen, after running 2nd earlier on, has dropped all the way back to 13th position. Gustav Usakovs is 12th. Then it is Brasler, Louis Terrotin in 10th. Jonathan Morin is now up to 9th. Claribo is 8th. Jovard is 7th. Germa Christens is 6th. And then, of course, you've got the top 5. And look at this battle going on. That is Herberts losing P2 and almost getting squeezed into the tyre barriers at the end of the Europaplan straight. The two Sheepers Racing drivers, Vilkans and Baccaglini, up into 2nd and 3rd place at the expense of Herberts, who has now dropped to 5th. He comes back up the inside of Nicholas Clays, and Clays now falls back into the clutches of Germa Christens, and just by Germa Christens, Jovard, Viggo Jovard on the Synergy kart is there as well. So this is 2nd back to 7th, including the Masters leader who you're looking at on your screen now. But that very smartly liveried RS competition machine, the lime green, black and white, that is traditional for the Danish run team, through turn number 11, down the straight. Here comes Kirsten, and he takes the position. Germa Kirstens takes the position away from Nicholas Clay. Clay doesn't need to fight it. He's still comfortably in front of the Masters field. We move on to the final lap. Jakob Batzel's lead, despite all the battling, has shrunk to just over 3 seconds, although that would be Jakob conserving his tyres, I'm sure. As there is Jakob Batzel. Made a great start, and I said, when we look back at the replay of the start, you'll be able to see just how well Jakob timed it, because he was able to cut across to take the preferred racing line into turn number 1, which gave him maximum exit speed out of the first couple of corners, and he's just translated that into a dominant victory. Batzel from Vilkans, Baccaglini, Herberts, and then Germa Christians. Nicholas Clay finishes 6th and wins the Masters division ahead of Viga Jovard in 7th. Jordi Cleribo is 8th. Louis Terotin is 9th. Jeremy Brasler is the second of our Masters karts home in P10. There we go. There's a look at your touch of Jonathan and Hannes Morin, 11th and 12th. There's a whole parade of disgruntled drivers trudge back towards their stricken go-karts. Gustav Usakov's eventually retired after such a great qualifying effort as the clear-up operation. Now now look at Batzel. Look at the way the lights go out. He sees that Usakovs is moving to the inside, so he thinks, fantastic. I'm going to move out to take the optimum racing line in, and look at the amount of extra speed he can carry through this part, because Usakovs is having to defend second place, but it's not necessarily this area, it's the fact that he can get the kart lined up so cleanly. At this point, he's gone. Usakovs running in second position. He was squeezed back to third on the opening lap by Rasmus Janssen, who eventually finished 13th. Then Usakovs was removed. Here is the Sheepers Racing Team battle. Baccaglini and Vilkans. And after a lot of back and forth, the Latvian driver eventually emerged victorious in the inter-team Sheepers Service Racing Service battle. There was an awful lot that happened in between. There is Lawrence Herberts from Belgium battling with Baccaglini. At this point, Vilkans was down in 4th, but Edgars, you can see Edgars with his specially designed black, grey and white Team Latvia race suit, gets past his teammate, and then the Sheepers Racing duo work together to see off Herberts, and I think Herberts there might have been the first driver to clatter into the flip-flops. There's the checkered flag. Batzel cruising home with all the action happening behind. So the next race will be Heat 2 for Micromax. 3 heats before lunch.
Papa, pas normal, hein. Ni normal, hein, papa.
So there is a look at the starting lineup for the second Micromax race. Now, the grids for Heat 2 were decided by in all the classes apart from Senior Rotax, were decided by a driver's second best lap in qualifying yesterday. There is Jensen Kelly's Lego crash helmet. So 8 drivers. Once again, Jesse Moonen will have the advantage. He will lead from pole position. Kian Hay will be on the outside of row number 1. On row 2, we'll have Adam Dion Asp and Jonathan Otterson. Rosalie Rabatskova and Alessio Zani will be on row number 3, and Chloe Malling Sorenza and Jensen Kelly on row number 4. And interestingly, we'll be seeing, I think, a very different type of race in this one, because the track is warmer, it's drier, and these Micromax drivers will have far more confidence in their karts as they get the tyres warmed up. That is the number 10 kart. You see that, the Italian stripes down Amicio Zani's crash helmet. It's a very nice crash helmet design, I have to say. Very striking, very easy to spot. Striking crash helmet designs are a commentator's best friend. Now, there's the number 76 kart of the Czech Republic's Rosalie Rabasova for the Kopetsky SRO team out of the Czech Republic. Well, Jesse Moonen led all bar about 3 meters of race number 1. What can Kian Hay on that KR Sport number 68 Cosmic kart do about it? The LGK chassis, which is a part of the Birrell family, is there. Driver number 9, Jonathan Falcon Otterson. We're waiting for the... Oh, right, where's everybody else? We've still got a couple of drivers who've got to catch up with the top 5. Here they come. There we go. All 8 ducklings in a row. Down towards turn number 14. The Haase kart. Jesse Moonen brings them out of turn 14 into the tram lines. It's a false start. Everyone puts their hands in the air just to wave and say, yep, we know, we're going around. And I've got to say, that is what drivers are taught to do. You see it less and less as drivers get older. It's almost like they forget. But the Micromax drivers, well done, all obeying the signal and letting the driver behind them know. Even though there's only 8 of them, they're still hand in the air to go round again, just to warn the driver behind, yep, we're not at full racing speed. So, we will get into formation for a second time. There is, briefly on our screen, Alain Delcroix, one of our race directors, keeping a watchful eye over proceedings. Our main race director, Manuel Branco, sits in the stand at the controlling the start lights. Or is that Manuel there? Sorry. That might be Manuel there. Just telling the drivers to slow down. So, we come around turn number 14. Once again into the tram lines. This time lights are out. We're off and racing. Moonen doesn't get a great start. What a brilliant jump from number 14. Adam Dion Asp up into the lead briefly, and he runs a bit wide coming through turn number 1. And it's Kian Hay who grabs the lead Moonen down to second. Already, though, he's looking for the race leader for turn number 6. Retakes the lead. Can Cian Hay get him back down the Europa Plan straight? Well, Moonen is defending into the button S's, and everyone else slots in behind. So, the first fright is over for Jesse Moonen. Can he now do what he did in race number 1 and drive away from the field? Cian Hay and Adam Dion Asp have already showed Jesse that they are going to be aggressive as they head down towards turn number 14. Hay trying to stay in the slipstream as they cross the line to complete lap number 1. Good start also for number 13, Chloe Malling Sorenza, from 7th up into P4. Otterson down to 5th. Rabasova down to 6th. Kelly and Zani next in line. Jensen Kelly up to P7. But we watch Cian Hay while he's doing what he has to do, staying in the wheel tracks of the race leader into turn number 11, down the straight in front of the grandstands. Hard right hand turn, double back on yourself ever so slightly, through the left then at 13. Early apex at turn 14. Let the kart flow out as the number 9 kart of Jonathan Otterson tries to take 4th place away from his teammate Chloe Malling Sorenza. Sorenza runs a little bit wide going through turn number 1, loses the position. Sorenza, in fact, loses 2 spots. She's down, oh no, just the 1 spot. Yeah, just the 1 spot, sorry. She is now directly in front of Rabasova and Kelly. So there is the LGK kart of number 9, Jonathan Otterson. Now P4, P5, this is P6, number 76. And P7 is the number 33, Jensen Kelly. Alessio Zani, it's a little bit off the back of the pack in 8th position, but hasn't lost touch completely. Up at the front, Jesse Moonen, still only half a second in front of Cian Hay. Everybody else, though, we're looking at the main pack of karts here, starting to fall back. So we've got 2, 4, 5 karts battling over 3rd position. 3 RS competition teammates, all in different livery karts. You've got the girls' Road to Formula 1 livery on Chloe Malling Sorenza, that, 1 Road to F1 machine. Then the traditional number 14 RS competition livery machine. Then the LGK kart. Also out of the same awning, same colour scheme, just not pattern. So 3 karts, 1 team, 3 different liveries. And then it is Rabasova and Kelly holding on well, as Otterson leads this group. Dion Asp running in 4th. There's the 5th place driver, Chloe Malling Sorenza. As we watch them through turn number 1 and turn number 2. A bit of sunlight now breaking through the cloud. That's going to alter track conditions if it stays overhead for anything longer than a few minutes. He's just going to, bring the grip level up slightly, you would think. Here comes Chloe to the inside of Adam Diop. Can't make the move, though. Has to fall back in line. No change at the front. Jesse Moonen continues to lead Cian Hay by 3/4 of a second. Out of turn 11, down toward the spectator stands. Through turn 12, now 13. There's Moonen. Here's Cian Hay. And in fact, looked like Jesse Moonen, the back end of that Haase kart, was beginning to step out ever so slightly. That could be a help to Cian Hay, although Hay loses another tenth of a second as Chloe to the inside. She makes the move. Chloe Marling Sorenza up into P4 at the expense of Adam Dion Asp. Asp now has to hold off Rabasova and Kelly. Jensen, Kelly. The start of the year, Jensen. I was commentating at Jensen when he was a Bambino driver at Yas Marina in Abu Dhabi at the start of the year. So Jensen has come a long way since then, and he is sitting behind Rabasova. Will Jensen Kelly make a move? Not quite yet. Of course, this is his first trip to Genk. Experienced more rain than he'd ever seen before yesterday. And, well, he's a fan of Lego. He's going to have to start building a strategy to get past Rosalie Rabasova. Into turn number 1 we go. 30 seconds left on the race clock. Oh, Adam Dion Asp runs a little bit wide. Can Kelly get underneath Rabasova, who gets caught on the outside there through turn number 2? The answer is no, not right now. And a lot of this for Jensen Kelly is going to be, confidence. Now he looks to the inside. Has he got the confidence to just send one in under braking? Not yet. So, he may be quick enough to make a move, but just not quite confident enough to throw caution to the wind. Will he look to the inside now? No. He gets a good run out of turn number 13. Here is now the battle for third place. Jonathan Otterson and Chloe Marling Sorenza. Let's have a look. Chloe looks to the inside, then she moves back to the outside. Otterson not thrown off his game at all. Jesse Moonen, meanwhile, has extended his advantage at the front to 1.7 seconds. This is the final lap. So, for Jensen Kelly, it's now or never in this race. Can he find the courage to make a move? Here's Chloe Marling Sorenza diving up the inside. Has she made that move stick? We'll find out shortly. No, she didn't. No change of position, although she is attacking Jonathan Falcon Otterson. With just a few corners to go, looks to the inside again, but that wasn't really an attempt. That was just a mere glance. Up at the front, however, 2 wins out of 2 for Jesse Moonen. And he does so in style over Cian Hay. Here's the rest and a celebration from Chloe. Well, why not? Started 7th, finished 4th, just behind Otterson, Adam Dion Asp, Rosalie Rabasova, Jensen Kelly, and Alessio Zani. That is your finishing order as we begin the second round of heat races. The next heat race will be the second Minimax race. So there is a look at your results. Jesse Moonen. Dominant once again, even though actually dropped to third, 1 point on the opening lap. We had 3 different leaders in the first 5 corners of this race, but once Moonen took over, it was game over as far as everybody else was concerned. Now let's have a look. Was it a great start? Look at the number 14 cart. The 14 made the best start of all. Adam Dion Asp gets to the inside. Look at Cian Hay. Thinks to himself, I spy an opening there. And he goes from third to first. Now, Dion Asp runs a bit wide. That allows Moonen back into second. And I just wonder if at this point, if Cian Hay had defended into turn number 6 on the opening lap, what would have happened? He didn't. Moonen saw the gap and was like, right, I've got to go. Got to go. And off he went. Then Chloe Marling Sorenza started making away. She picked off Adam Dion Asp, one of her RS competition teammates. That was the move into fourth position. She couldn't quite get round Otterson, who carried on to finish in P3, but she did hassle him all the way to the flag. But it was another straightforward win for Jessa Moonen in the Haase kart in Micromax Heat number 2. So we have 2 races to go before the lunch break here at the circuit, ladies and gentlemen. The next heat race will be Heat 2 for Minimax. Then we'll have our second heat race for Senior Rotax before we break for lunch. Now, the first Minimax heat race was extremely lively. This is the class with the ticket to the grand finals up for grabs. You can see there the eyes of Luke Millward looking up. Behind Luke, you can see the Alice in Wonderland designed crash helmet of Maria Roberto. Now, the grid is slightly different for this race than it was for heat number 1 because it was the driver's second quickest lap in qualifying that sets the grid for this race. And you can see Alfie Mayer is on pole position in kart number 159. Finn Albert Jorgensen, the pole sitter for heat 1, will line up second, but significantly, and this is where Andreas Kjellerup will only start 10th because Andreas lost a wheel in qualifying, so did 1 lap fewer than everybody else, and so Kjellerup has to fall back on effectively his first flying lap, which was obviously as drivers were still getting their karts up to optimal working setup, but still creditable top 10 effort for Kjellerup. The mechanics and dads leave the dummy grid. There is Alfie Mayer. Directly behind him, the white crash helmet, that is race 1 winner Lucian Smith. A quick glance back at the opening race results. Qualifying heat 1, any penalties? Well, Benedictus Masiokas sadly excluded from the race, so the Anglo-Lithuanian driver, he will be able to take his usual grid position for this one, but obviously in terms of the intermediate classification, he finds himself right down at the back. Once again, if you're watching, Thomas Gavinenu, a big hello to you, Thomas. Hope that your wrist gets better soon. Mark Andrea Casada had a nose cone penalty, which dropped him to 18th position. But the race 1 finishing order was Lucian Smith, Finn Albert Jorgensen, who you were looking at there in the number 165 car. Alfie Mayer was 3rd, Austin Oman 4th, Sebastian Behrman, Josh Cook, Julian Dummer, Harry Radcliffe, Ryan White, and Tren van Malik. That was your top 10. So, see the number 137 kart there, Sebastian Behrman. There is the back of his crash helmet. Yes, Sebastian is the cousin of Formula 1 driver Oliver Behrman. But Sebastian, this is his very first visit to Genk. His very first visit to Genk. Has learnt an awful lot this weekend. He is one of the leading drivers, along with Josh Cook, who you can see in the number 175 kart, who have not secured their ticket. I will find out from the KR Sport team whether Finn Albert Jorgensen has secured a ticket to the grand finals yet. I believe Julian Dummer has. I've seen him posing with a ticket. I know Alfie Mayer, Lucian Smith, Austin Oman have all got their tickets already. Tren van Malik, I will find out if Tren is already going to Bahrain, because that will be the key. Well, the race in the final will be the plot. The subplot will be who's taking the ticket. Here they go, out on to the track. 35 Minimax drivers. This is your starting lineup. Alfie Mayer and Finn Albert Jorgensen on row number 1. Lucian Smith and Julian Dummer on row 2. Austin Oman and Josh Cook on row number 3. Tren van Malik and Sebastian Behrman, row 4. Ryan White and Andreas Kjellerup, row 5. Luke Millwood and Harry Radcliffe, row 6. Maria Roberto, Carlis Bernsons, row 7. Jakub Kopecki and Emilis Jozaitis on row number 8. Benedictus Masiokas and Alfie Garrett, row 9. Sasha Algebrail and Mark Andrea Casada, row 10. Teddy Murphy, Noah Stihoda, row 11. Conrad Doyle, Tim Hansler, row 12. Elias Dahl Anderson and Jack Fulbrook Harmer go from row number 13. Tia Lind Jota and Harris Barber on row number 14. Amelie Davey and Dejan Habets on row 15. Leon Herberts and Julian Janssen on row number 16. Max Vandermeer, Dimitar Lazarov and Matthias Clever. They round out your running order, your starting lineup. Down the Europa Plan straight, everyone doing lots of weaving, which of course you're not really supposed to do, but the drivers are just checking their steering. That's all they're doing. There is a look at your starting lineup. 34 out of the 35 drivers. Clever in the TB kart is the back of the grid, not on your screen. Let's see if Lucian Smith can get away like he did in race number 1. I would hazard a guess that the answer is no. Well, everybody clambers back into their correct starting position before you get to the red cutoff line, which is they're just going over now before the entrance to the pit lane. If you're not in your correct grid slot by that point, you don't move into your correct grid slot, you go to the back, or you stay wherever you are. Into turn number 14. Tram lines, lights are out, we're off and racing. Mayer adjusting his radiator flap as he crossed the start line, holds on to the race lead. Jorgensen and Smith side by side for second. Everybody cleanly through the first 3 corners. Couple of drivers running very wide onto the curb. There's Dummer. He is there in 4th position. Now he gets moved wide by one of the KR Sport karts. And Dummer is actually up to 3rd place. Now he's back to 5th. Into the Button complex we go. Drivers have to get single file through there. Austin Oman in the number 121 cut, hassling Lucian Smith for 3rd position. But up at the front it is our pole sitter Alfie Mayer leading from Jorgensen. Then it's Smith, followed by Oman, Dummer, Behrman, Cook, Van Malik, Ryan White. Andreas Kjellerup has made a decent start. So has Harry Radcliffe. Benedictus Masiokas is up 5 places to P12. Marc-Andrea Quesada for MKC Motorsport also making very good progress. Further down the order, well, everyone seems to get through the first lap without any major issues. Kellerup, in fact, lost more places than most, just getting squeezed wide through one of the early corners. The Danish driver comes around in 16th position. So, the mistake in qualifying, where he lost a wheel, which resulted in a bad start for this race, has compounded itself by a poor opening lap. Battle for the race lead. Jorgensen to the inside of Alfie Mehr. Mehr, the back end, gets out of that kart. He catches it, but Lucian Smith has to take evasive action. Up into 4th position is Oman, being chased by Van Malik and Beerman. There's Masiokas in the number 120 kart, running as a privateer. He's got the Thule Motorsport graphics kit on his kart with the Ayrton Senna replica crash helmet. Losing a place there to the number 104 of Marc-Andrea Quesada. This is just a 7-minute plus 1 lap race. As Finn Albert Jorgensen checks over his shoulder, sees where his nearest rival is. The answer is nearly a second back. Lucian Smith losing a couple of places. Austin Oman attacks Lucian going into turn number 14, makes the move, and that opens the door for Tren Van Malik. Oh, Smith back up the inside of Van Malik going into turn number 1, and Smith had to clatter over the inside curve to make that move work. Julian Dummer is also in that mix, and the Cookie Monster, Josh Cook, who is, he is driving, he has said, and down the back straight there, wheel-to-wheel contact as Cook was trying to get to the inside. That could have been major, but I think they all managed to escape without any issues. I was about to say that Josh Cook has promised that if he wins a trophy, he will give that trophy to his sister Tilly this weekend, because it's Tilly's birthday tomorrow. Honestly, he did say that. I've not just made it up. But he will. He's going to, Tilly will tell that. If Josh wins a trophy, that trophy is Tilly's. At the moment, though, Josh's got a little bit of work to do. There's a battle. Quesada, Ryan White, Van Malik, and look at the number 105 kart of Harry Radcliffe going through. There's Radcliffe for the Sam Pollitt Racing team, chasing Ryan White. Ryan White and Tren Van Malik have a little discussion over the same piece of tarmac, going through turn number 6, down the Europa Plan straight, through the Button Complex. And Lucian Smith finally makes his way past Sebastian Beerman for what will be P3. Alfie Mehr is still second, but Finn Albert Jorgensen up the road, leading this race comfortably by over a second. Mehr is there, P2. 3rd, 4th and 5th now on your screen. Here comes Austin Oman. That's the second time I've seen Austin pull off a move like that at turn number 14. But Sebastian Beerman is able to do the crossover behind them. Josh Cook passes Julian Dummer. Beerman back to the inside of Oman finally, going into turn number 1. Through turn 6 we go now. Nothing to choose between this pack of drivers, although there's your leader and second pulling away. Beerman defending 4th. Look at the run that Julian Dummer's going to get on that Formula K kart. Austin Oman fights his way past Beerman again. Now can he make the move stick? Oman up to P4. Beerman coming back at him. Beerman now to P4. Oman back to P5. Cook 6th. Dummer 7th. And now Dummer gets to the run coming out of the final corner to pass Josh Cook. Less than a minute to go. Tren Van Malik is the next kart in line, and Austin Oman goes back in on Behrman. Dummer has to try and follow Oman through, wheel-to-wheel contact there. Behrman loses out. And Cook now behind Behrman, who on his debut here at Genk is proving a tough nut to pass, although the cookie monster devours him going into the button complex. Tren van Malik goes through as well. Behrman now has to hold off the advantage of Hunter Motorsports number 147, Ryan White. Behind Ryan White is Alfie Garrett. Garrett, new home this weekend at Strawberry Racing. Oh, in the background, that's Julian Janssen, Matthias Clever, Emilius Jurzitis have gone off, and that is Clever out of the race on the TB kart. Maria Roberto is there in 12th position. Kjellerup still 13th. The biggest mover of all, number 131, Dijon Habits for the Jan Darms Racing team. Excellent performance from Dijon Habits. Caught a glimpse of the familiar Darms Racing livery, and Dijon Habits, well, whatever bad habits he picked up in qualifying, they've turned into good habits in this race. There's Austin Oman, Julian Dummer into grandstand corner through turn 13 now. Race leader Finn Albert Jorgensen on this, the final lap. As we start the final lap, 2 seconds up the road, Alfie Mayer under pressure from Lucian Smith for second. Austin Oman holding off a whole group of karts for 4th position. There's your leader. Clear visor, eyes focused on the next apex. Finn Albert Jorgensen for KR Sport. One of a number of Danish drivers who have migrated to the KR Sport team this weekend. KR Sport have got 18 drivers here in the paddock, the biggest team numerically out of anybody here. Finn Albert Jorgensen, he's so new to the team, he's got to wear one of Rayan Gandor's old race suits, but that doesn't matter. He might have to get his own KR Sport suit made up if he's going to continue to perform like this for Ash Orchard's team. Another win for KR Sport in Minimax, this time for Finn Albert Jorgensen. Alfie Mayer holds on to 2nd position ahead of Lucian Smith. Austin Oman in 4th place, Julian Dummer in 5th, Josh Cook 6th, Sebastian Behrman 7th, Alfie Garrett up 10 places to 8th for Strawberry Racing. Then it's Tren van Malik, Ryan White, Mark Andrea Quesada, Andrea Kellerup, Dejan Habits, Harry Radcliffe, Maria Roberto, Benedictus Masiokas, Luke Millward, Leon Herberts, Dimitar Lazarov from the back of the grid up to P15, followed by Benedict up to P19, then Teddy Murphy, Jakub Kopecki, Tim Hansler, Sasha Al-Jabril, Carlis Bernsons, Noah Stiedhauder, Harris Barber, Amelie Davey, Jack Fulbrook-Harmer, Conrad Doyle, Max Vandermeer, Elias Dahl Anderson, and Thea Lind Jota, with Emilius Jurzitis, the last finisher. Sadly, Julian Janssen and Matthias Clever, who you can see standing there in the centre of your screen, failed to finish. So, the start, and look at Alfie Mayer as he comes across the line. He's not even looking at the start. He's looking down at his radiator flap, then realises, oh, sugar, gotta go. Jorgensen on the outside gets a good run and manages to tuck in to 2nd position. This was some 3-wide action. Radcliffe, Behrman and Ryan White. Ryan White doing a bit of rally crossing as he came out of turn number 4. Still on the start of lap number 2, that was Lucian Smith up and over the inside curve, trying to get past Tren van Malik. Smith knew that he had the speed to win the race, but had to try and get track position. He would eventually, he's past Van Malik, he went past Austin Oman, he then made it past Sebastian Behrman, but couldn't catch up there. The best battle was between Behrman and Oman. They went in on each other time and time again. Behrman there making the move at Grandstand Corner. Oman would eventually get the better of Behrman with a move down at turn 14, but Finn Albert Jorgensen takes the win. Mere second after a quiet race. Lucian Smith, that's interesting as you see how far away of the group crossing the line now. Smith pulled and he was closing in on Mayer, maybe 1 or 2 laps more, and Smith would have taken Alfie Mayer for second. One race to go then, ladies and gentlemen, before we break here for the circuit at lunch, and it is Senior Rotax Group A and Group C. Now, Group A, that contains Lloyd Hare, who is fastest overall. Why, should we say, why doesn't Group A go out in the first heat? Well, tyres. You earned the right to take, you were good enough to take pole position. So Group A, on the left-hand side of your screen, they have got brand new tyres. Group C, Bishop, Van Wyk, Levar, Sidursky, etc., they've got 1 race old tyres. So the pole sitter overall, Lloyd Hare, starts his first race with a tyre advantage, which is what he has earned. The next race, the last race, will be Group A versus Group B. And then Group A and Group B, they both done 1 race. So there's no disadvantage for the pole sitter there. And you know, you set fastest time overall in qualifying. You've earned the right to go out with a tyre advantage in 1 race and to not be at a disadvantage in your second heat race. So, of course, final words of encouragement as we now sit ourselves down in the cart. There is Mason Bishop giving his brother, well, giving Lloyd Hare. I was going to say giving his brother. No, he's not giving his brother any encouragement. He's giving his mate Lloyd Hare some encouragement as he heads off the circuit. It's a Dan Holland Racing 1, 2, 3, 4 on the grid. Lloyd Hare, Macaulay Bishop, Tish Van Wyk and Jort Van Wyk. It's actually a Dan Holland Racing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 because there in the number 392 cart is Jack West. Well, how can the tactical magicians back in the DHR tent figure out a way to maintain that top 5 dominant performance in these next 10 minutes plus 1 lap? It is a good time. It kind of reminds me of last year's Grand Finals grid in Senior Rotax, where the top 5 positions for the final grid were all held by Team UK drivers. And the driver that started 6th from Belgium eventually became the champion. I'll let you guess what happened in the race, but that's not going to happen now, I'm sure. Dan Holland's team have worked out this one. But if I was number 361, Yuri Levar, I'm thinking, yes, I remember that race very well. Belgium starting 6th, watched 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, work each other out of contention, take the win. Easy. Tish Van Wyk watches, looks into our camera lens, now head down and focus. He has got his brother Jort Van Wyk alongside him on the front row of the grid. deep in thought. 25 drivers. Now, looking back, some of the drivers like Maximilian Bostrom, who retired from the opening race, Alexander Elijah Bach. This is their last opportunity to get some decent heat points, and they need them, because one driver in senior Rotax will not go through to the final. The Sodi cart there of Bostrom needs a good finish. The driver starting directly behind him with the white crash helmet on the outside of row number 12, Alexander Elijah Bach, also needs a good result here. There goes Naman Kukreja out of the pit, the driver who has come from India to race here to get some experience of European-style weather. Here we go then, your full starting lineup. Lloyd Hare and Macaulay Bishop on row number 1. Tish Van Wyk and Jort Van Wyk on row number 2. Jack West and Yuri Levar, row 3. Ruben Verhey and Max Sadursky on row number 4. Mitch Haynett for the TB kart team and Thomas Verheyen on row 5. Matthias Kjellerup and Philip Wisniewski, row 6. Miles Roby and Mick Vandenhout on row 7. Knud Nielsen, Rayan Bourguignon, row 8. Gabriel Svitala, Simon Anderson, row 9. Marco Aries and Kari Kortalainen, row 10. Eddie Nielsen and Maximilian Bostrom on row 11. Enzo Zani, Alexander Elijah Bach and Naman Kukreja, who you're looking at now, winds out the starting order. There is Maximilian Bostrom. Bostrom on the Sodi kart, but driving, let's have a little look, the 388, driving in the KR Sport tent this weekend. Now, if I have a little look at Max Sadursky, number 397, on the the SP Motorsport kart, that very distinctive black and orange. Maybe when we get a chance later on, you'll see what I mean. Just below the NASA panel, at the top of the nose cone, you have that KR Sport sort of feather type motif. Sadursky will have an individual colour on that as you look at the starting lineup. Now it looks like Sadursky's chosen like a bright blue. There it is. You can see those feathers on that kart there. Just that's Sadursky's own personal choice. Every driver in the team can make their own choice. It helps keep every kart in the SP Motorsport awning look that little bit unique. And the outside, the back bumper is also matching in those colours. So, yeah, there's Sadursky there, the 397, just the back of the camera shot with blue. Here is the familiar, omnipotent livery of Dan Holland Racing. A top 5 clean sweep to start with. Will it be a top 5 clean sweep at the end of 10 minutes plus 1 lap? Let's find out. We're off and racing. Lloyd Hare leads them into turn number 1. Oh, Tish Van Wyk runs wide. There's Miles Roby in the thick of the action. The 2 RS competition teammates almost run over each other. Mitch Haynett has made an excellent start, but I think we got 4 out of 5 Dan Holland Racing karts through cleanly and into the top 4 positions, led by Lloyd Hare. Bishop is second. No, is that the 3-6? It's Tish Van Wyk second. Make that Jack West up into P2. Bishop is 4th. Haynett down to 5th. Haynett up to 5th position. Then the 2 RS competition karts. Is that Rube? Oh, this is the 302 and the 308. And that was Knud Nielsen and Ruben Verheyen passing Mitch Haynett. And it looks as though Jort Van Wyk is coming back at Haynett as well after a poor start. There's the number 361, Yuri Levar. Well, Jure's wish that the top 5 karts, all from the same team in front of him, were going to take each other out. Well, it hasn't come true. It's a Dan Holland Racing 1, 2, 3, 4 at the moment, with Tish van Wyk running in... Sorry, with Jort van Wyk, running in 8th. So Tish van Wyk is P3 at the moment. Jort van Wyk with the Dutch race suit colours is P8. There, the 2RS. There's Knud Nielsen. Has made a very, very good start. Has Knud Nielsen. He's right behind his teammate Ruben Verheyen. As we watch here, West. Very impressive start from Jack West as well to get ahead. Very impressive indeed. West makes the move at turn number 6. So, Jack West, Lloyd Hare. I have to say, without wanting to sound, this is not being unkind, but they are leading their more illustrious Dan Holland Racing teammate, the Van Wyk brothers and Macaulay Bishop. And, Lloyd Hare doesn't want to get past there for second. Van Wyk, though, has to send one in. And now, Ruben Verheyen breaks the top 4 stranglehold. Macaulay Bishop has been passed by the first of the 2 RS competition karts and is under pressure from the second of them. There's number 302, Knud Nielsen, sticking his nose out underneath Bishop. And I think Knud Nielsen did pass Bishop there. So it's now a Dan Holland Racing 1, 2, 3, RS competition 4 and 5. Bishop 6th. Levar 7th. Jort van Wyk still 8th. Miles Roby. Great start for Miles for the MLC Motorsport team, up to P9. Swiderski is 10th. Then Marco Aries, Simon Anderson, Mateusz Kjellerup, Thomas Verheyen, Eddie Nielsen, Gabriel Svitala, Kari Kortelainen and Enzo Zani. Mitch Haynett has retired after such a great opening lap. The TB kart driver out of the race. We're down to 24 runners. The 2 drivers that retired from their first heat race, Alexander Elijah Bach and Maximilian Bostrom, they run 20th and 22nd. They'll want a bit more security than that if they're going to make it into the main event. 1 driver misses out. Don't know who it is. You would have to say, at the moment, based on the Heat 1 results, that Bach and Bostrom are among the favourites to miss out. We also lost a couple of other drivers. I'll just quickly check to see who else retired from the opening race. Felipe Falk and Anya Levar also retired from the opening race, but they go in the following, in this afternoon's last heat race. Look at Ruben Verheyen and Knud Nielsen working together, closing in now on our pole sitter Lloyd Hare. Jack West continues to lead and lead comfortably as we approach the halfway point of this senior race. Down the back straight we go into the Button Complex. Big gap back behind Macaulay Bishop in 6th place to Jure Levar in 7th. Swiderski in 8th. Roby in 9th. Jort van Wyk has dropped to 11th position. As once again the sun peeks out from behind some rather ugly looking black clouds. So this is the sunniest it has been, and Lloyd Hare cannot stop Ruben Verheyen from passing him for 3rd place. So it's gone from a Dan Holland Racing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to a Dan Holland Racing 1, 2, 3, because Hare fights back, repasses Verheyen, although that opens the door for Knud Nielsen. Nielsen forces Hare wide at the end of the Europa Plan straight to pass him and allows Ruben Verheyen to get back in front of our pole sitter. So it's gone from a Dan Holland Racing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to a Dan Holland Racing 1-2 with the two RS competition bullets firing their way up into third and fourth. Then it is Hare and Bishop. Bishop's kart seems to get stronger as the races progress. He's obviously set his kart up to finish the races strong, but he's not as quick in the first half of the race as he would like to be. So he does lose quite a bit of ground in the first half of the race. Let's see if he can make any progress in the second half of the race. There is Bishop behind his teammate Lloyd Hare. Although I have to say, the two DHR karts, they do quite well to just follow these two RS competition karts. And there's the move from Ruben Verheyen on his teammate Knut Nielsen at turn number 11. That puts Verheyen up into P3. Oh, and Hare and Bishop there have a little bit of miscommunication maybe. Bishop now passes Hare. Hare trying the crossover. Doesn't work. Bishop gains another place. Hare says, okay, I'll follow you. Bishop's like, yep, you were going to do that anyway. So Macaulay Bishop, now he's picked up one place. This is where we'll see Bishop's kart get stronger and stronger, as we did in race number 1. Meanwhile, Jack West, 0.8 of a second in front of Tish van Wyk, comfortably leading. 2 minutes to go. This is the main battle. 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th. Bishop already pulling away from Lloyd Hare and closing in on the 302 of Knut Nielsen. We need driver number 402, Edgars Vilkans, to the stewards. Driver number 402, Edgars Vilkans, to the stewards, please. Back on track. Still looking at the battle for 3rd place. 308, Ruben Verhagen has it, the Danish driver. Ruben Verheyen, sorry, the Belgian driver, do apologise. Verheyen, Nielsen, the Danish team, Belgian driver, Knut Nielsen from Denmark. In the number 302, still able to hold off Macaulay Bishop, although Bishop is encroaching upon the back end of that 302 kart as they head out of turn number 13, down towards turn 14. To complete another lap, your leader, Jack West, extends his advantage to 1 second over Tish van Wyk. Van Wyk, in turn, is 1.7 seconds in front of this battle that we're watching now. Verheyen, Nielsen, Bishop. Now this looks like it could be Bishop lining up for a move, not into this corner, but I would say maybe into turn number 11 coming out of this complex. Is Bishop close enough? The answer is no, not yet. Edgars Vilkans to the stewards, please. Driver 402, Edgars Vilkans, to the stewards, please. Now Bishop makes his move. Now Macaulay Bishop pushes himself into P4. And you can see that Lloyd Hare, as Nielsen fights straight back. The crossover at turn 1. Bishop trying to go around the outside at 2. He now cuts back underneath at 3 and 4. Makes the move stick. Bishop into 4th position on the final lap. Has that given Lloyd Hare a chance to pass Knut Nielsen? I think it might have done, although Nielsen defending hard into the button complex. Through turn number 10, now into turn 11. Meanwhile, Jack West has done enough, more than enough, to seal the deal in this one. In his first race of the day, Jack West wins. Tish van Wyk second. Ruben Verheyen is third. Bishop is fourth. Side by side for P5 it goes. to Knud Nielsen over Lloyd Hare, Matthias Kjellerup, Max Sedersky, Yuri Levar, and Jort van Wijk rounds out the top 10. In 11th place, Simon Andersen, followed by Thomas Verheyen, Rayan Bourguignon, Marco Aries, Kari Kortelainen is 15th, Eddie Nilsson, Miles Roby, Gabriel Svitala, Mick Vandenhout, Enzo Zani, Max Bostrom, Alexander, okay, so Bostrom 21st, and Alexander Elijah Bach 22nd. Filip Wisniewski 23rd, Naman Kukrasia 24th. The only retirement was Mitch Haynett. There is a look down at your finishing order. Well, Mitch Haynett and Naman Kukrasia are now the drivers feeling somewhat nervous, because they now need a good second heat result. Here's a look at the start. Lloyd Hare gets a good getaway, but look at Jack West in the 392. He's already being aggressive. He gets to the inside. You can see Jort van Wijk gets shuffled a little bit wide there in the number 323 kart. Everyone smoothly through turn number 1. But there is Jort van Wijk and Lloyd Hare swapping positions for second and third. Now at this point, Jack West had already made the move as for the race lead, and he was able to continue on. Lloyd Hare having to battle with a very impressive RS competition duo. There's Verheyen getting squeezed out of the way. Knud Nielsen comes back, but this was a great little sequence between Nielsen and Bishop. Nielsen makes the move into turn number 1. Bishop knew what was happening, gets to the inside, has to use a little bit of inside curb just to seal the deal. Jack West takes the race victory. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to take a break here at the circuit for lunch. We have 3 heat races to go. The next heat race will begin at 1:10 local time. So we'll be back at 1:10 local time, Central European time, for the last 3 heats of this year's RMC Golden Trophy. And of course, the all-important main events. We will see you later on.